So today I'm making larb, or laab in Thai, but I'm gonna flip it and make a turkey larb. It's a delicious, tangy, ground meat salad you're gonna find in just about any Thai restaurant. It's super light, fresh, and healthy, and I'm serving it up with my mom's famous sticky rice and mangoes. Hey guys, I am Jet Tila, and this is Ready Jet Cook, where I show you how to make my favorite Asian dishes from pantry to plate. Let's get into it. All right, larb, we're in Thai food here. Okay, so I want to take a moment and talk about tamarind. Tamarind is a fruit that grows around the world. It's equatorial, so it only grows in hot zones. In Thailand, we use it to make food sour, and it comes in two primary forms. This is the actual fruit with the seeds in it. I like using this container because it has just the fruit and water with all the seeds and stuff strained out. You basically take 1 part water to 1 part tamarind block. You smash it around until the pulp releases from the seed. You strain it out in a strainer, and there you go. That's how you get this. If you can't find this, the block is great. You just have to go through the extra step of straining the seeds out. As for palm sugar, all palm sugar is the sap of the coconut palm tree reduced down into a solid. And you see it in different forms. These are just like the big dabs of coconut sugar. This is the powderized form. Both work really well, but the powder form is really easy to measure and to cook with. And you can't make Thai food without fresh limes. These are Persian limes versus the little key limes. Basically, 99% of markets only carry Persian limes. I think they're sweeter, they yield more juice, and when I pick a lime, I look for a smooth skin lime versus a drier, gnarly lime, because these are gonna yield more juice than the other limes. All right, got my pantry ingredients. Now, larb is commonly ordered in Thai restaurants using chicken, but you know what? I thought it'd be fun to try turkey today. This dish can be made with any ground protein you like. I mean, even tofu, but turkey is light. I think it's delicious. It's easy to find here, and I think it's the perfect kind of sub to kind of change it up a little bit. Now, when you are getting turkey, if you can, ask your butcher to use the large die and grind it big, because that gives you, in my opinion, the best texture when it comes to larb. So we want to start by marinating the ground turkey. This is my grandma's twist. You know, I've had other Thai chefs go, why are you using tamarind? Well, it makes sense to me. It's tangy, it's fruity, and I think it really kind of pops the deliciousness factor. It gives you that extra layer of brightness. So I'm just gonna get the tamarind in and worked through into the turkey, and I'm gonna let this marinate for about 15 minutes as I do my vegetable prep. Just to be safe, I'm always gonna do a hand wash when I'm crossing between proteins and vegetables. So I'm gonna get my prep done for the larb, which means onions, garlic, shallots, and scallions. And you guys know me, I like to cut things fancy. So let me show you how I take down these vegetables. I always cut onions the same way. I take a little bit off the top to square it off, and I take a little bit off the root. I'm gonna go in half, and this is how I like to peel the onions. Makes it life so much easier by trying to do it in the half versus the full round. And I just simply want to slice this. So you can actually see the little rings like a rainbow, or the button, which is the actual root side. We're actually going to cut the ring side, and just nice thin slices. It is a salad, so keep it nice and thin. You don't want to overwhelm this dish with the flavor of onion. Simple, just like that. Next, you know what? A cousin to the onion is shallot. Pretty much the same way, my friends. Little off the tip, square off the root side, and then find that half, okay? I'm gonna go half this way, and I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. You might be wondering, like, why shallots and onions together? Well, I think they have a very different flavor. I think red onion is on the sweet side, shallot is more on the earthy side, and they work really well together to ground this dish. Okay, just like an onion, there's gonna be that rainbow in the root, always going with rainbows. All right, shallots are done. So next is gonna be garlic. Taking the cloves off. Once you cut the root side of the garlic off, the skin has nothing to hold on to the clove with, meaning this, if I just give it a nice little pop, you'll actually feel the garlic actually come off the skin side. So just with a little bit of pressure, the cloves release, just like that. And I'm not overthinking this by over mincing it. I just want to keep it nice and even, but not too fine, because you are going to put this in the pan and get some heat on it. So just a nice thin slicing pass, and I'm happy there. Woo! This is strong. Getting emotional. All right, I always cut onions the same. Anything wider than your palm, you cut in half. Gather those up, and instead of cutting perpendicular, just put a little angle on that knife, and we call this the bias slice. Tastes the same, looks better, perception of value, you know what I'm saying. Always make your food look cool if you can. There it is, and that's just gonna be for garnish and some flavor as well. There is a tradition when eating very spicy salads in Thailand, is you want a cooling place, meaning I took a bite of very spicy larb. I need a bite of cabbage to cool my palate off. So what I'm gonna do with these cabbage slices are, let me cut the core out, and then I'm just gonna simply cut it into kind of 1 to 2 inch wide wedges. And this does two things. You can actually eat it like a crudité, where you can grab with it, or you can just take a bite of the cooling cabbage after the larb. I do have mangoes here, but since I've been cutting garlic and onions, we're gonna save these mangoes for later when I have a clean knife and not all this garlic and onion that's going into the savory dish. So let's start cooking the larb. You want to use a very wide pan with somewhat high size. So a wok, a skillet, anything's gonna work here. So let's get that preheated. So we're gonna start with just a little bit of oil. I'm using a high temperature, low flavor oil. That could be peanut, canola, any of those. Just stay away from olive or sesame right now. You want an oil that gets super hot, that has a nice clean flavor. So we're just gonna start by sauteing our aromatics. So I'm gonna go shallots and garlic. And we're gonna get these translucent, right? You don't need to brown these. The turkey's gonna go in next, and you want all of the flavors to really kind of marry together. So now is the time for the marinated turkey breast. When using ground chicken or turkey, really use the surface area of this pan. You've got all that very hot oil. You have a lot of protein to cook, so make sure you push it down, get it searing, and then turn it over on itself to get a nice sear. I gotta be honest, I don't love the name larb. In Thai, this would be pronounced laab. And it's got a kind of a pizzazz when you say laab, but the American version of larb, it's just kind of a boring name for such a delicious dish. So larb, I can't even say that. It's messing with my head right now. So laab varies region to region. Most people think it's a Thai dish, but we actually borrowed it from our Laotian neighbors. So I would never try to take Thai credit for laab, because my Laotian brothers and sisters would be beating down my door and making sure I come correct. There's different styles of larb, like I was saying. My family's from northern Thailand. The northern larb is very savory, very, very spicy, less kind of bright and acidic like this one. I really wanted to show you how to make the more popularized version of larb with the lime juice and the palm sugar, and that's what we're making today. If your ground meat happens to create a lot of moisture, right? Just feel free to dump it out. That's basically caused from, commercial meat sometimes has a little bit of saline in it. It's not gonna mess with it or hurt it, but if your pan's not super hot and you get that pool of liquid, just feel free to dump it out right here. Get down to when the laab is frying and dry again, and then continue on to our next step. So I'm turning down the heat because I've got my turkey cooked just about all the way through, but I don't want to keep going and drying it out. I'm gonna build my dressing right in the pan now. And it is that classic hot, sour, salty, sweet Thai flavor. We're gonna begin with fish sauce. And again, I've turned down the heat because I wanna build this dressing while everything's warm, but I don't want the pan hot to have it boiling. So fish sauce in, now we're gonna go to lime juice. And there's nothing better than fresh lime juice. I can't tell you how aggravating that product is in the stores that says real lime when it's actually not real lime. So I'm going right from lime to press to into the salad. So we've got the salty, the savory, which comes with the fish sauce. We've got the lime juice, which is bright, and now we want a kiss of that sweetness. And Thai food really is about the balance. So palm sugar. If you don't have palm sugar, don't freak out. White sugar, brown sugar, all those will work as well. We need to round out these flavors with the spice, and I'm just using Thai chili flake. This is not the chili flake that you put on your pizzas. It is potent. So if you're cooking for people who don't love heat, back down on the amount, or you can actually switch over to that chili flake you put on your pizzas. And next, we're adding that flavor of mint, which I love, which makes it so fresh. And don't get fancy, just take the mint, tear it with your fingers, bring it over, tear it again, and you wanna wilt all that fresh mint into this laab to get that amazing flavor. This really is one of the hallmarks of delicious laab. With the mint adding all those essential oils from the mint, I'm gonna add half of the onions. Save the other half for actual plate up for garnish. My other kinds of onions, which are green onions. You know, if there was smell-o-vision, this is that moment where everyone in your kitchen is gonna start oohing and awing. So you've got the mint, you've got the sear of the turkey. This is delicious, and we're gonna pop it even further. We're going to add another layer. This is roasted rice powder. It is basically its namesake. You take regular rice, you toast it in a dry pan, and then you either run it in a mortar and pestle or a spice grinder until it's fine. And it adds a textural and almost an aromatic element. So texturally, the rice powder grabs the dressing and creates a crunch, right? It also kind of concentrates the dressing, and then it gives you this phenomenal crunchy texture. And yo, we've just made laab. I mean, super easy. So I'm gonna put this to the side, save some of my garnishes, but let's move on to make our mango sticky rice. You get to play with one of my favorite Thai cooking implements, the sticky rice steamer. And speaking of rice, we need to have a minute because this is a very special rice. Let me talk you through it, okay? Thai sticky rice is its own thing. It is a long grain glutinous rice, grows in the area of Thailand and Vietnam, and you can totally sub it if you can't get Thai sticky rice. You can use like Japanese short grain rice or Chinese glutinous rice. There's no other rice that is simultaneously sticky or glutinous and long grain at the same time. So all you're gonna do is take the Thai sticky rice, put it into a bowl, cover it with about 1 or 2 inches of water, and you're gonna let it just relax and absorb its water during that soak. And you're gonna wanna soak for about 3 hours, all the way to overnight. Most rice is called steamed rice, but this is a truly steamed rice, and I'm gonna show you why. So this rice has been soaked for about 3 hours, and now I need to talk about this awesome rig. Okay, let me pour this rice in and to give you a little intro to my cool little steamer rig. So this is a Thai sticky rice steamer. If you don't have one, don't worry. You can make this at home without it, but it's comprised of 2 pieces. You've got the bamboo basket that sits in this aluminum pot. They're readily available on the interweb if you want to get one. They're not that expensive, and they're super cool. If you don't have one of these, just take a stock pot, put a colander in it, and then put your rice in there, covered tight, and you're good to go. I'm gonna cook this sticky rice for about 10 minutes from the bottom up, because that's where the steam's coming from. We'll flip it over and do another 10. While that's happening, we're gonna make our coconut syrup for the sticky rice. So coconut sticky rice is definitely the sweetened version. You could actually eat the rice unsweetened with any multitude of Thai or even non-Thai dishes. But the secret to coconut sticky rice is the coconut syrup. I like using Thai coconut milk. I think it's important to try to match the country of origin with ingredients, as you guys know. But it's not magic. The magic is the deliciousness that, you know, fresh coconut milk gives you with sugar. So I'm just gonna bring a saucepan up over heat. I mean, I'm a stickler for using Thai coconut milk here because there's no additives, there's no kind of weird gel layer that you see in other coconut milks. We're just gonna get a can of coconut milk in, which is about 2 cups, and we're gonna make a syrup with it. We used palm sugar earlier, but we're switching over to white sugar, which is cane sugar, because it's a cleaner sweet, and it's gonna let the flavor of the coconut speak versus the palm sugar we used in the laab. So sugar's in, coconut's in. You always want a dash of salt. Any Thai chef will always tell you that you can't have sweet without a touch of saltiness. That's just the way Thai cooks work. All you need to do here is make sure the sugar melts and this becomes a nice clean syrup, and that's done. The sugar in my coconut syrup has dissolved. It is clarified. I'm gonna turn the heat off now and get that ready to marry to the sticky rice, but I need to address mangoes. I'm using what's called a champagne, also known as Adolfo mango. They're prized for their sweetness. They're not super tart and they have very low fibers, and this is the perfect mango for mango sticky rice. And nothing fancy here, friends. I'm just going to peel and get these ready for the plate. And if you can't find these, no big deal. You can use any of the mangoes you have at your stores, but you wanna make sure the mango that you buy is very ripe, on the soft side. You've seen mango peeling 1,000 ways. This is not where you cut the wedge of the mango with the peel on and you do the scores and you pop it out into squares. We're gonna actually want nice long pieces of mango here. So you're gonna just do a nice clean peel. So what we're looking for are two almost, I would even say like fillets of mangoes, because if you've cut enough mangoes, the mango bone, what we call, or the pit, is actually flat. So you're gonna get two almost fat sides and then two thin sides. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. I mean, a mango, you would never think cuts kind of like a fish because you get two fat fillets off it. I'll show you what I mean when I plate this up. So the rice has been cooking for 10 minutes. It needs an additional 10, but I'm gonna show you how to flip this rice over. It's kind of fun. So the steam's been coming from the bottom. I'm gonna loosen the rice up by kind of moving the bamboo basket. And then with just upward pressure, check that out. The rice ball basically turns over on itself. I'm doing this way more times than I need to kind of show you, but I wanna get it down on the top side, put it back in, and give it 10 more minutes. So the sticky rice should be finished. We had 10 minutes, flipped over 10 more minutes. Yep, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And let me show you how to marry the syrup and the rice. Look at that. By itself, this is ready to eat. And my favorite way would be like a big Thai grilled meat, like a steak or some pork, but we're gonna actually transform this into a new dish. So it's time to introduce the coconut syrup into the sticky rice. Now we have hot and hot here, so they're gonna blend together pretty quickly. Make sure to reserve a little bit of the syrup for coming over the top and finishing with. But this is very similar to, if you've ever made sushi rice with me, we're basically cutting a liquid into a rice to marry those flavors. So I like these silicone spatulas because they don't break up the rice. And cutting, I think, is the appropriate term because you're gonna have larger pieces of rice that wanna be together, they wanna stick together. So I want you just to take the spatula at a 45-degree angle and work that syrup right into the rice. The coconut syrup is worked into the rice. As you can see, there's nothing left on the bottom. Let's let that cool for a second before we plate that and finish up this larb. All right, so the Laab flavors have married together beautifully. I'm gonna finish with the onion, the scallion, and I think I'm gonna save some of the mint for garnish and put some in now. Gorgeous. Looks awesome. And this is how I would plate this traditionally. You have this amazing kind of crudité, all these cool, delicious vegetables, and then the larb down the center. Another fun presentation for the Laab actually is to do individual lettuce cups. I mean, I love this kind of family style, but you could totally do lettuce cups if you want. Let's bring some limes to the game in case people want a little more tanginess. And I'm gonna remind people that, yo, there's mint in here. So I'm gonna get pretty heavy with the mint there. And for a little crunchability, yeah, that's a word. I made it up. I'm gonna do the roasted rice powder. And there it is, family. Some Turkey Laab. Now we gotta finish with dessert. The sweetened coconut rice in the plate. If you're not using this immediately, a good idea is to just put it either in a zippy bag or an airtight container, and that's gonna live really well in the fridge for a few days. And if you wanna bring it back and make it warm, the microwave is the best tool for that. And let me lay some mangoes on it. This is what I was talking about the fillets. You can actually see two flat sides on the mangoes. I like to kind of score it perpendicular this way first, and then find that fillet. There it is, and then that fillet will slide right on to the rice. Thusly, yeah, I stole that from Alton, whatever. The other fillet, whoop, and I'm gonna lay that right onto the rice. Finally, you gotta bring a little of that delicious syrup over the top. Check that out right there. Oh yeah, that is perfect. There it is. So this is how I like to eat Laab. Pick your cooling vegetable. I'll use some of the cabbage. Woo! Spicy, delicious. I've got sour, I've got sweet, that perfect kind of balance of all those yum flavors. And then coming over the top with a cool, crispy, refreshing vegetable, that is kind of quintessential Laab. I want that sticky rice with that mango. That's the bite. Creamy, sweet, tart, I mean, this really is kind of the perfect meal to cook at home for your friends or yourself. You're getting the hot, the sour, the salty, the sweet, that perfect yum experience, all in really 2 simple dishes. Well, there you have it, friends. I've taught you how to make turkey laab. Kind of a funky name, but a delicious dish. And of course, mangoes and sticky rice to finish. I hope this inspired you to cook some Thai at home. We'll see you next time on Ready, Jet, Cook.